the safety for all of this. We did talk about protesters, and he said that they welcomed peaceful protesters, but as we're looking out there, our cameras aren't catching any noticeable protesters going on, but the No Kings organization was very clear about saying you all need to avoid Washington, D.C. They didn't want to draw more attention, they felt, to this parade and essentially give perhaps the president a show that he might want, or give him a reason to remove them, perhaps with force.
But it was interesting talking with those protesters today that, even though they were committed to sort of standing up against what they say are some troubling policies by the Trump administration, that they did not want their demonstration to be viewed as sort of anti-military, anti-army, that even while they're demonstrating, that they recognize that the Army is the one consistently fighting for our freedom at home and abroad, but wanted to make sure that they were still respected and honored during what is an important day for them.
A huge day for our country. Again, we're watching the president as he salutes our troops as they make their way down Constitution Avenue. We see him flanked by First Lady Melania Trump. And I wanted just to take a look at these uniforms right here. Any idea what era we're looking at?
Yeah, you're looking at current era now with the multi-cam. So this is modern day soldiers. Can't see their patch on their uniforms. I couldn't tell you which division it is from this angle, but.
You talked about the sort of science that goes into developing these uniforms. I'd imagine that there's a considerable amount of research kind of looking at its ability to be responsive to these service members, provide protection and shield when necessary, but also allowing them to be a bit breathable, I'd imagine too, especially since they'll be wearing them pretty often.
Yeah, we've gone to ripstop primarily. I mean, it's varied. It really depends. The desert, we went to the desert with woodland camouflage, not the type of uniform you want, hot, but quickly the Army responded to that. And we've got then the chocolate chips, and then we got the desert cam. And so we've gone from cotton to heavy to ripstop, which is very breathable. It's interesting that technological advances occur both ways, right? So we design things in the United States Army that impact and enhance the world, right? Certainly the nation from a military industrial standpoint, and vice versa. So Gore-Tex material, right? Some of that we design, but we won't hesitate for a minute to pull that from the commercial side.
What am I looking at on the screen here? Do you see I'm not sure if that's a tank. I'm going to use the word
tank. That's a striker.
A striker, excuse me. So are the artillery pieces up on the top, what we were just seeing, those?
Okay, that's not artillery piece. So what those are, smoke launchers, grenade launchers. So to shield you and protect you and obscure you, it has the ability to pop smoke canisters out. And so it's more of a kind of a smoke screen effect. So when you displace from position to position, you can screen yourself and make yourself not visible to the enemy.
And if you're in one of those, we see the soldier sitting down towards the bottom, Larry looking out through the window in the front. Yep. If you had to pick a seat in that as a soldier, where would you want to be within one of those strikers?
Probably in the front, right?
Well, driving them, I've driven these. I've driven an Abrams tank and a Bradley. The guys on top they got the best view, right? And so now we don't typically ride way out of the hatches like that for obvious reasons. Certainly in 15 years of a GWAT, you would be down inside hull defilade. You'll see those vision ports there, so all those hatches could go down. And so you'd be self-contained inside of that vehicle and still have pretty good field of view and vision. And so right now you're seeing hatches up, and they're not in hull defilade for sure.
You've talked about how these tanks, the uniforms, how everything has evolved over the years. Has it made it so that our men and women out in combat are safer when they are there?
I mean, that obviously so, but the opponent gets the vote, right? It's kind of a cat and mouse game. We develop something, they counter that, we counter the counter. And so it's a non-stop, constant research, development, and upgrading. Now you're going to probably get into what we call HIMARS. So you're hearing all about the artillery, Iron Dome, the Patriot missile system, which oddly enough, 34 years ago, Patriots were in the street of D.C. Then, now the much more advanced Patriot system you'll see here, as well as HIMARS kind of sprinkled in there. Another Stryker vehicle being shown there. It looks like they're panning back and forth along the parade route, so you'll see in multiple eras.
I mean, it sounds like a rock concert, doesn't it?
Oh, it is a rock concert. We need to rock out, folks.
Yeah, you can see where the president is sitting and all the other dignitaries, his cabinet members. By the way, at least 15 cabinet members I've been counting, so perhaps more than that, but quite a show from the president's administration. I can't describe how big the stage is that they're sitting on. It feels Larry, like we were just talking about, like you were at a massive
There you go.
concert.
You were
There
at
you
a
go.
massive concert, and there, of course, you can see members of the U.S. Army getting the crowd pumping there. Again, we've seen people from all across the United States make their way here to Washington to participate in this historic occasion, honoring our U.S. Army and the servicemen and women that participate and protect our freedoms each and every day.
We're watching all the pageantry, the patriotism happening. I did want to mention too the logistics that have come along with this, because if you were trying to fly into DCA today, we are currently in a ground stop. I believe that was from 6 p.m. to 9:30. Many flights have been rerouted to Dulles. Let's go ahead. Should we check back in with Matt Gregory?
Let's check back in with Matt Gregory, who is a sort of an encyclopedia in and of himself in terms of what he's been able to kind of break down for us today. Matt, more tanks rolling down, and with it, history for the U.S. Army as well.
Now, Larry, I'm not getting called in with those tanks. Some of these are armored carriers. You've been sitting with the general. You should know that. So we're seeing more Abrams coming down. We're seeing Strikers. We're seeing, I thought you'd know that. We're seeing, more of this modern military, present era. I'm still waiting to see the future because, just kind of looking down the rundown, there's some things like, robot dogs, things of that nature. That was the first that jumped out to me that I saw on the schedule. But let's get you a little, let's say a treehouse eye view of what's happening right here. And by the way, I do want you to take note as you look across and you see the armored carriers coming through, you see the Strikers, and you see the Bradleys. Look at the bleachers here. These are prime seats for this, and they're empty. It's sparse. There's, on my side, which we really can't get a shot of because we're on the riser, there's, maybe 10 people deep on the, south side of Constitution Avenue, but that's about it. I see, okay, you'll hear a couple cheers now when some of the folks over here in the carrier start waving to everybody. You can see, now I can see Simone and Larry, the rubber padding underneath the treads as they kind of come down, but we've reached the heavy artillery section of this particular parade. We haven't seen many infantry walking through. It's very fascinating, I think, to see all this as we get to see many of those Abrams tanks about to come up into the view. You're not going to see them yet, but I will before you do. As they come down, you kind of think about how the military's changed over the years, right? Like that was the point of this. You're seeing those early colonial soldiers pre the creation of the country, and then this is what it's progressed to, and it's going further, right? Like just over the last few weeks, the amount of drone warfare we've seen on the international scene really explains to you how things are changing. Even now, as we watch these armored carriers roll down here, this is almost, it feels like at times, soon to be a bygone era of the Army. Just something to take note of. And many of the people here, by the way, when I was walking among the crowd, it's a mixture of MAGA and a mixture of patriots and a mixture of, many military enthusiasts and veterans. It is a very diverse cross-section of what I've been able to see while walking among the crowd. And obviously you do have the chance for the president because many of his supporters are here cheering on his birthday, but you do have many folks here just to see sort of the majesty of the military, and they've not seen that before. I mean, like I said before, I think sometimes we take it for granted as journalists that we're welcomed onto bases, naval air stations, naval stations, and we see these things up close, but for the average American, you won't be this close to an Abrams tank possibly ever in your life. Now, we've got another group coming through, and I'm not sure if we're seeing some of the current era units coming through, and I know there's several corps of the Army that are really being focused here, some of the longest running corps. We started with one of the oldest military units in the country that's still in active duty, which would be the Old Guard, which protects D.C., and we're moving across to, the 1st Corps. I think we're seeing the 2nd Corps and the 8th Corps as well. That's 40,000 to 80,000 people. They represent who are in the military active duty on their way down here now. You did mention, and you were saying it sounds like a rock concert. We just heard Jump from Van Halen. We heard AC/DC. So there's definitely an era associated with this particular military music selection. But I also want to point out, I did hear from a source that there is we know there's a music concert coming up later. When I was here earlier, I did see Lee Greenwood doing his sound check of Proud to be an American. So he's going to be playing at some point after all this, and there may be a surprise country music guest. I'm not sure if that got worked out. I heard that from a source, and I'm not going to say it until I can confirm it. But this is what we're seeing, is that we're going to have this military parade that should go into a concert. a little bit now. A country music concert. Perhaps I'll say the artist if I can get a confirmation, but yeah, for now that's kind of what we're seeing. You know, it is a birthday party-like atmosphere, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's sure it's the military, but there's a celebration, there's people, there's music, there's everything, yeah.
The Army, the presidents. Matt Gregory, you did a great job trying to identify what was rolling down Constitution Avenue. I wanted to bring you into the conversation. Anything you noticed?
Yeah, you had
specifically?
Humvee, M119er, which is a light howitzer. It's a 105 howitzer, 40-round shell. And then closely behind that was M777. And so that's a 155 howitzer. And those are towed howitzers, different than the Paladin, which is self-propelled. And so there needs to be some type of vehicle moving that, whether it's a tractor, light, medium tactical vehicles, which is what you saw.
You know, I remember as a kid kind of playing with all of these. I didn't know the exact names of them, but I'm being much more informed now, General. Thank you so much. Let's bring in Alexis Wainwright now. She is along the parade route talking with people from really all across the country who've been taking in the sights and sounds of this parade. Alexis, you spoke with a former service member who was also watching the parade himself. At one point, getting choked up during your interview, describing not only what he saw, but what this means to him.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Larry. It's been an emotional moment, but also a lot of excitement for many of the people who are here. As you mentioned, we are talking with some people who are in the U.S. military. A lot of them really excited to see some of the things that we've been seeing now that we are closer to the parade route. We're starting to see a lot more of the military machinery move through. Now, I want to speak with two brothers here. I have Cannon and Cody. I know, Cannon, you are in the National Guard, but we want to talk with both of you. I know you came in from Pennsylvania. Just tell me what it's been like to be able to be a part of a parade, something like this that we haven't seen in so long.
So our family goes all the way back to the American Revolution, serving from the American Revolution to the Civil War to World War I, World War II. And so to come out and celebrate 250 years of the greatest military in the world is just an exciting, and to express our support for our heritage and be a proud American and patriotic with supporting our military.
And Cannon, I know you have the experience, you know some of this machinery that's been moving through. What's been your favorite moment so far as we watch this parade continue?
Definitely seeing the callback to those who came before us, the guys dressed up as colonial soldiers from the Revolutionary War and as the Civil War, all the way up to Desert Storm, Gulf War and Vietnam and everything in between. It pays a lot of homage to the bravery of the men and women who gave them the ultimate sacrifice to allow us to enjoy what we have here today. People from all nationalities and all walks of life here. And we get to enjoy what we have here all together because of what these brave men and women do.
And just tell me, for you guys, your brothers, you talked about this being a part of your family history. What does it mean to be able to be here together for this moment?
It's just a total privilege to live in the country and the sacrifice that has been gone on before us. Our dad served, he's here with us today. And so just to be here and honor their sacrifice from him, my brother here, and all the way back to the beginning.
And Cannon, I wanted to know what inspired you to join? Was it the part or the fact that your family has been a long part of this, or what exactly inspired you?
Yeah, having a lot of family members in the military definitely inspired me. As a boy, we grew up, playing with sticks in the yard, playing war. And as we grew up, this country's given so much to me that I just felt that I wanted to give something back. And joining up with the National Guard, putting my community first, my state first, but the country if need be. Just something that, what else could I do? This country's given me so much and the opportunity, the life I live, that I want to give back.
And I know you talked about the tributes and what this means for you. You know a lot of this, but one thing we've been seeing is a lot of kids out here, a lot of people who aren't familiar with some of the history of the military. So what does it mean to be able to see so many people out here learning more about it?
Oh, it's great. To all the kids watching, they should be inspired. To see that anyone can do this. You can come from a rich family, poor family, no matter where you're at in America. If you can go through and pass the training, put that uniform on, you can achieve anything, and you'd be doing a great service to what this country stands for, and help others and lead the way.
And Cody, I want to go back to you. What has been the most memorable moment for you as you watch this parade?
I think the most memorable moment is seeing the M1 Abrams tanks and the flyovers, because that's something you don't see every day, and that's something that I'll remember, and hopefully we'll see it again in the future. Hopefully it'll be something that they'll start doing more often.
Thank you guys so much. So again, you can just hear the different personal stories from everyone out here and why this means so much to them. So that's kind of what we've been hearing as we go down this road of Constitution Avenue and talk with people about what this parade means, what it feels like to be able to, again, see something we have not seen when it comes to all of this machinery going down D.C. roads as we continue to watch this parade. So of course, we'll stick here and continue to talk with more people, but for now, reporting live along Constitution Avenue, we'll send it back to you guys.
Look, millions of pounds of military hardware rolling down the streets of our nation's capital. Alexis Wainwright bringing us that perspective. And what a moment I felt like she really captured with one of the gentlemen who was speaking. He said his family goes back to the American Revolution serving, and he's here to show his support for the Army. What was that like for you to hear?
Yeah, I mean, so it's sometimes a family business, you know, generation after generation. Probably a lot of us can trace our history back to early America and the Revolution, but Cody and his brother, I mean, they said it best, you know, you too can join the service, a service, in this case, they were Army and they were National Guard, which is also telling. And then, you know, kind of make your way and make a difference. And so you get just as much as you give. I'll be quite frank with you, in uniform. Whether it's, there's educational benefits, there's a lot of other things, but the feeling you get by giving more than you expect to give back is powerful.
One thing that we've heard, not just from those two gentlemen, but from others that have served, is working towards something greater than themselves, recognizing that they are doing this for their country, for their neighbors, for their families. It seems like that is sort of a collective spirit that we see from all branches of government, really, and especially our U.S. military and the Army, that they are all working towards something that's so much greater than what they are.
Yeah, and you see that not only with those in uniform, but our civilian servants, the government service workers. So shout out to them, because again, it's a team of teams approach to get this done. So it's not just those in uniform; it's those who support the communities that engage us. I mean, every camp, post, and station has a community about it, and I can't tell you in my 31 years of a single place I've been that I did not get the support that I thought we, the military, deserved. Sometimes it's an interesting relationship. Soldiers can be soldiers at points, but.
It's fascinating too, just as we were watching Alexis and some of the video that was rolling of the parade, there is just this insane moment where you're watching these tanks roll by and you're seeing the Washington Monument in the background, and I'm having trouble getting over that, just the magnitude of this and what it means for our country, and just to be here present for that.
I think it's an okay feeling to have. For me, when I see that, though, it all comes together. That symbiotic relationship between a military, in this case the Army, and the society in which we serve. This will defend. That was the motto that we started our country on. This we shall defend. And so we've got to have a strong military, and we do. The best military, in my opinion, on the face of mankind in the world. Highly advanced, highly trained, skilled, and very, very capably led through all segments and sectors. And so I'm quite proud of that. So to see that, for me, it all brings it together. And I'm not all about war. I'm all about peace. But sometimes it's peace through strength. Yeah.
So General, walk us through what makes our military as incredible as it is.
I think it's multiple things. I think it's the American, right? And look at the product that we have. And we can take them from all walks of life, just like that one brother said, right? And you can reach the challenge, meet the challenge, and exceed it, and be part of something greater than yourself. So I think it's the raw product, to be honest with you. I think it's our Army system and what we've learned over 250 years of history. From von Steuben at Valley Forge, where we had to take the building blocks of an army and build an army from scratch, from nothing. When we don't really like standing armies, we don't like having large masses of troops around us. Maybe it's the Quartering Act with the British, who knows, right? But again, we've worked through that. And it's really the raw product of American, right? Who we are all feisty, right? We got a little bit of a spirit to us. So, yeah. And then you throw the training that we have, and then you throw the non-commissioned officer corps on top of that, our sergeants. That's the thing that's different than most armies I've been around in the world, is the professional non-commissioned officer corps, highly educated, highly motivated and dedicated officer corps on top of that leads as a team of teams. And so when you got a motivated soldier and that raw material that you turn into a soldier and train it in collective skills, right? There's nothing that can stop you.
thought you said something that was really important, you know, and something I think is more intuitive. We've been talking about this now for a couple of weeks, but the United States is not known for grand shows of military force. And so as we look back in history of, hey, where did this come from? Where did this idea originate from? We know back in 2017, President Donald Trump was attending Bastille Day in France, the parade there, and that was part of where some of this idea came from. Of course, it is the president's birthday today. He's turning 79, and he wanted this military parade to show off the patriotism, the pageantry that is the United States of America. It has been over 30 years since we've seen a parade like this. Do you think we may start to see these more frequently?
Well, I don't know if you'll see them more frequently. I mean, I think they should be more strategic. I think 4th of July is a great time to celebrate something like this with all services present so we can honor them simultaneously. But I don't think you'll see an increase of this, but you are right. We don't have an inkling of doing this all the time. It's not, we're humble.
Yeah, I mean, I think the former defense secretaries, you know, said, you know, when you are exceptional, you don't need to brag about it. You just need to show up. General, I want to get your take on what we're seeing right now. Again, more service members, more artillery. It has certainly been a sight this afternoon.
Oh, it absolutely has. You're seeing the infantry squad vehicle. Now, when I was in the Army, I got out in 2015 and transitioned. We didn't have those high-speed little vehicles. They were little rat patrol cars there. But you're still seeing a mix. You're seeing Bradleys here. You're seeing, you know, the Strykers are going by, but the infantry squad vehicle, which a lot of folks will say, well, it doesn't look very kind of protective. Well, it's really not meant to go into, you know, direct fire. It's meant to get soldiers around the battlefield quickly. It's meant to have the lethality that you need. And that lethality is a squad that dismounts, right, and engages with the opponent. And then you're still seeing some of the 119ers, the towed howitzers. But that's a good picture of the squad, the infantry squad vehicle.
This infantry squad vehicle you're talking about, you mentioned this, but it allows commanders greater freedom of movement and action. And so is this something that you are specifically trained on, or is this something, you know, as a part of the Army, they would just say, hey, you're going to be in charge of this or that, or how does some of that work?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to figure it out, like soldiers have done throughout history. I mean, you look at every war, every engagement, soldiers at the contact level figure this out. Sometimes it's not the general way back in the back, it's somebody there. The hedgerow device in World War II in Normandy. I mean, if you just go back and look, even in modern times, remember I said action, reaction, counteraction. You know, you have an improvised explosive device, right? It goes off. We do the analysis. We figure out how to counter that. Well, the opponent gets a chance too. So it is a cat and mouse. So it's very advanced. It's exciting. I've been trained on everything from motorcycles to Jeeps to trucks to airplanes, you name it. And then certain individuals have talents and skills, and we vector them into this type of area. So whether it's driving, whether it's Jeeps, whether it's Bradleys, whether it's heavy machinery, helicopters, cyber, you name it.
I think what we're also getting education on as well is sort of the science of combat, right?
Yes.
It's clear that all of these items, all of this equipment serves a very specific purpose on the battlefield and elsewhere, and that they are used appropriately to fight, defend. And what we're learning is sort of how all of these vehicles are sort of working together in tandem to create, which is what we know it to be, a powerful defense.
Yes, combined, integrated combat is what it is. No element, field artillery, or the infantry, or the armor, or the aviation can operate alone. It's integrated, synchronized to have an effect. And so that's the way we train. We do it at our National Training Center, we do it at Joint Readiness Training Center, we do it in Germany. And so we train this hard, but it starts as a building block approach. Individual soldier skills, mastery of those skills, collective skills that take it all the way up to the Corps, division, and Army level.
Something I found really fascinating, you know, as we look back at the history of the Army, we wind it all the way back. The Continental Army was originally composed of soldiers from Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia. So specifically in our area, this is a point of pride and legacy.
Well, a lot of Virginians will tell you the nation started in Virginia. In many ways,
I'm a Virginian, and that would be correct.
Amen. So am I. From 1607 at Jamestown, fast forward and let it unplay, and you'll see Virginia there. And every era, every conflict, and again, Virginia's still engaged, and so I'm quite proud of Virginia and what it's contributed.
Yeah, it was good to see Governor Glenn Youngkin there starting us off with that video. And again, we are looking at not just the crowds, but our U.S. Army now making their way down Constitution Avenue, we have seen some pretty incredible equipment going down the street, and with that, a really proper education in terms of what goes into making them combat ready, but the skills important to making sure that these are ultimately good soldiers.
I think you said it really well, Larry, when you said the science of combat, the science of the military, helping people like you and I who do not know the inner workings of the Army and what it takes to necessarily defend a nation the size of the United States. We're kind of getting a crash course in what that looks like, what that means, and the pride that comes with serving. Something I did want to mention, we are seeing some of the flags. I don't know if they're going to show it again. I was curious, some of the different flags that they're showing. We're seeing our president again on his 79th birthday. Do you see the different colors? Any idea? Can you bring me into that?
Yeah, so each branch of service in the Army, whether it be artillery, which is kind of a more maroon red color, infantry, light blue. You know, so each one of the branches have a different color. And that's what you're seeing now. Cavalry will be the kind of the gold color. This is 101st, what you're seeing here. This is the Screaming Eagles. The 101st Air Assault Division used to be airborne. Its lineage goes way back. But certainly World War II, which you're very familiar with. Also the Battle of the Bulge, the Bastogne, the Battling Bastards of Bastogne, and that's in our history, written that way. Surrounded by the Germans, and you have a guy named George S. Patton Jr. With the 4th Armored Division that breaks out Bastogne. As a matter of fact, the National Museum of the United States Army, we have Cobra King, which was the lead tank, Sherman tank, wasn't the Bradley, or the Abrams that broke the besiegement of Bastogne. And that famous word, when we were asked to surrender, and McAuliffe said, nuts. Simply responded, nuts. And we did not surrender. And the rest is history.
And still have it to this day.
Okay, we are listening to this parade as it is underway. There are supposed to be flyovers. There very well could be flyovers. It's a bit overcast, a bit humid, and I would use the word misty.
Yeah, which is why they started the parade early. We knew about these sort of showers making their way to town, that it could be disrupted to the festivities today. The president was clear early on, rain or shine, that they were going to be out there and continue to celebrate and honor our U.S. Army.
All right, let's go ahead and check back in with Matt Gregory. He is along Constitution Avenue. He's been bringing us updates from the parade route. Matt, bring us into what you're seeing out there.
You know, like you're seeing, right, from your view, we're seeing all the different eras continue to come by as we work our way into the modern. I'm still waiting to see the future over here, but, as we've been looking at everything, and I keep checking over my shoulder just to get an idea of what's coming down Constitution Avenue. Again, we have the Paladin coming by. We have, some of the current Army Corps members passing through here. It's very exciting, honestly, to see all these things at once. But I will point out that, the longer the parade goes on, the more and more people we see sort of leaving the area. And you can see it's continuing across the way to kind of thin out a little bit more even. So this again is the Paladin, as I was told here, one of the, primary artillery devices for the U.S. military, or for the Army rather. And we're moving along pretty quickly, honestly. Everything, by the way, it was a half hour earlier when we started. Now we're moving up about an hour or so. Along the way, logistically, there's all sorts of bathrooms, there's food trucks across the mall, and there are monitors, or rather big screens to see the parade back on the mall, but we're not seeing a whole lot in the way of a crowd that would be necessary for. I'm trying to look beyond my photographer, and you can see some people still near the Washington Monument, but as far as down here, right along the parade route, it's not quite as packed in, and I do think a lot of that has to do with the impending rain. We're kind of being given a brief reprieve, it feels like. It's been humid all day, hot, sweaty. You could feel sort of like cooler breeze coming through as it started to rain, and now we're sort of in a dry spell, not as humid, not as hot. Honestly, it's when I would expect more people to be coming out here, but it's hard to tell or hard to gauge. I'm still waiting to see if we're going to have fireworks tonight. If it rains, it's going to be hard to have those, and so that's where this is supposed to head to. We are to hear from the president at some point, and we're going to see some more productions from not only the military, but also from Lee Greenwood, the famous singer, and perhaps a country band right after that. So a lot that's still going on as this birthday for the Army continues to go on. And if you're listening at home, that is right now from Van Halen. A lot of Van Halen being played today. We've got over here, these are the Strikers, Kurt? Actually, If you could bring the general in, I wanted to ask him a couple of questions about this. One of the things I was wondering about, I don't want to misspeak, but as we see these tanks coming through, when we look at the future of the Army, what role do they play in the future? I guess that was something I wanted to ask the general, if he has any insight into where that would be, because these are, highly effective vehicles for different warfare, but we're seeing warfare change.
Yeah, Matt, good point. What you were looking at was a Bradley, not a Striker. Striker's got the wheels. You'll get that one down. Now you got the tracks down. We're going to work the wheels next. But no, you're right. But you don't know what the next fight's going to carry, right? I mean, some would say it's already started. And it started in the cyber realm. But you're going to have the capability, and what we know is it takes a soldier with a guide on in his hand, planting a standard in the ground, ultimately at the end of the day. And so I think we've got to be prepared for that, and we have strategists that work really hard to determine what do we need as far as a kind of combination of land, sea, air, space, and cyber. And so that's why you're seeing this. Do we need all tanks? Obviously not. And you're seeing that as it unfolds here. But again, this is a history of warfare. It's also a history of technology and development over time, and that's going to continue to occur. You're seeing that now with the squad infantry vehicle here. You're starting to see more of the modern weapon systems itself, to include our new rifle system. So we've gone from the smoothbore musket now to a highly proficient squad weapon and individual weapon. So good point, very well noted. But again, these are implements of war that you've got to have to be a standing army to counter opponents.
Thinking about this initially, they believe, based on the way technology's been going, that drones are becoming a lot more prevalent. There's a deeper conversation about that people looking at this at home would say, well, aren't these tanks, aren't these Strikers now obsolete, given what we're able to do in terms of our drone technology?
Yeah, it would be a fair observation. General George and the Army staff and Secretary of Defense obviously are focused on drone, counter-drone. You've heard them talk about that. We've learned lessons and watched what's happened in Ukraine and other areas of the world, and so we've taken that very, very seriously. Again, that's the latest break-in, so it's he who can, or she who can respond the fastest, develop the fastest to make the difference on the battlefield, to seize, gain, and maintain and hold the initiative. That's what it's all about. But again, everybody gets a vote, to include weather, just like we'll see here a little bit later. That is correct.
I'm fascinated by this.
Matt, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm fascinated by what we're actually. It's fascinating to see sort of like the advance of technology. Yes, we're looking at the different regiments, right? The Revolutionary War. We're seeing the Civil War. We're seeing them go from horses, 100 years of horses in the Army, to the beginning of the 20th century phased out, and then from tanks with World War I to tanks in World War II, and suddenly we're seeing it's fascinating to see that the way technology moves is sort of the way that the military moves. I mean, obviously that's been sort of the precursor to technology we get at home is the DoD work on things, but it is fascinating to see with your own eyes just this timeline and how quickly it moves from horses to drones within the span of 250 years. And I wonder whether the general could comment on just sort of the role the military plays in the advance of technology.
Yeah, so Matt, another great observation. So there's a symbiotic relationship between our Army, its needs, and the military-industrial complex, I'll call it for lack of a better word. So that partnership, and there's a lot of talk and a lot in the news about acquisition, how we acquire things, at the rate we acquire them, is it too long, too expensive, and then again, a lot of reform in that area. And what we're seeing right now is handheld drones, right? So you're seeing those capabilities really at the forefront of the battle space with individual soldiers. And so you're looking at right now 327, a unit I happen to serve in, an infantry battalion. And so what they're trying to show you is the night vision goggles you're seeing on top of their heads, the new weapon systems they got in their hands. So we've advanced beyond the M4 carbine, then the M16, the M1 Garand, and the musket, smoothbore musket. And it happens, like you said, very rapidly.
The protest is something that we've been talking a lot about across the nation today. Over 1,000 protests in major cities, even here in Washington, D.C., not necessarily at the parade, but that's something we've been watching very closely.
Right, we've certainly seen them on the outskirts of town. Video online circulating currently suggests that we have pockets of groups that are forming, at least with maybe about 8 blocks from where the parade is taking place. I'm going to have Matt Gregory stand by. I want to get to Lionel Donovan right now because he's been patient with us.
Okay.
Lionel, walk us through what you're seeing in terms of these demonstrations. We've been talking about these No King protests popping up. What are you seeing from your vantage point? What has been the discussion thus far?
Good evening, Larry. Well, I want to take you across the street right here, just in front of Lafayette Park, where we've been seeing a steady stream of folks trying to make their way to the parade. However, earlier today, hundreds of people filled the streets of downtown D.C. and Lafayette Park in opposition to today's military parade. They were joined by thousands around the country as part of a nationwide No Kings protest. But earlier today, I spoke with a Democratic lawmaker who spoke at today's rally, who said he not only wants to see this kind of energy increase, he wants it brought directly to D.C. to make sure President Trump gets that message. Representative James Keaty marched from Logan Circle to Lafayette Square with hundreds of other protesters earlier today and accused President Trump of using the U.S. military as a, quote, prop. Now he's calling for those who oppose Trump's actions to gather in D.C. and pointing to other countries as an example of similar tactics. Although he admitted that the size of the U.S. may make that difficult, he says at this point it has to be done.
We go 3,000 miles coast to coast, 1,500 from north to south. So it's going to take a little bit more effort and creative organizing, but we've got to get more than 10 million people into the streets here in D.C. to jam up the gears of government, make our nation ungovernable, because that will be, I believe, the lever that pushes Donald Trump out of power.
Now, other protests are planned for the week of July 4th, but coming up at later tonight, I'll get a chance to speak with a Marine veteran who traveled all the way from California to attend today's rally, who says that he hopes his presence can serve as an example for other Americans staying home. But for now, we're live near Lafayette Park. Lionel Donovan, WUSA 9.
Lionel, thank you. No doubt this is sort of, General Thompson, as we're looking at the sign of a healthy democracy, right? We can have what can be a celebration for our men and women in uniform in the Army, as well as demonstrations for people that may believe differently as it relates specifically to the policies of the administration. Kind of taking this all in and seeing what we're seeing right now, how comforted are you that we are in a good position both militarily and socially as well?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. It's one that concerns all of us, obviously, certainly being in uniform. I mean, the last thing we want to be is a catalyst for any of this dissent among the populace. I mean, we're soldiers. We serve the nation's will. We serve the Constitution. And so it's very important for us to be nonpartisan. But at the same time, you're hoping and praying, and sometimes you must vote, right? To make a difference. So I think it's extremely important. It's okay to protest. Listen, our country from 250 years didn't always get along. Mm-hmm. You know, we were at each other. We had different opposing views, but there were things that brought us together, that kept us together. That's what we need to focus on. You know, we call it life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, freedom, you know, equality for all. I mean, those are the things that are important. Those are what most of those people, some of them, are probably wanting to get at, is have a conversation about that. I think where there's a rub is obviously when it goes extremely violent, mm-hmm. and they attack government property, and then there's decisions that have to be made. You know, you have to do something to prevent that. So I'm with you, I understand, and I really appreciate and honor the fact that they can protest. They do it peacefully, mm-hmm. right, to make a difference.
I did want to take a look at what we're seeing with this flyover. Can you help us understand what piece of machine we're looking at here?
Well, this is what everybody wanted to see. This is the M1 Abrams, which doesn't fly, but the Apache certainly does, the Longbow Apache. And that's what you're seeing now is a flyover. Think back to Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Think back to the 40-plus days we kind of air engaged that with aircraft bombs, and then deepest strikes done by the 101st and the Apaches of the 101st. And that's what you're seeing here is the AH-64. And again, extremely lethal. I've seen it up close and personal. You're seeing now a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. Again, working in unison. The Apache goes forward, it's got to be refueled. It's got to be rearmed. And so again, that's what you're seeing with UH-60s, CH-47s.
They are so dramatic to look at. I mean, they are just so captivating to watch. So the Apache is the one we're looking at right now as they fly by.
Those are
the
UH-60 Black Hawks. The Apaches are in lead.
Okay, and these are going by the Washington Monument as we speak. I wanted to go back to the Apaches and just mention, so in context of when they would have been used, we're talking Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Does some of that sound correct to you?
Oh, it does, yeah. And it's still being used to this day. So 2008 to 2009 in Diyala Province, Iraq, as well as in Afghanistan. we had Apaches there in close support. Very lethal, very flexible, and very survivable.
Well, you know, at one point we just saw what appeared to be a robotic dog
There
going
it is.
down the costume.
Everybody's happy we have the dog.
We've talked about the tanks, but we've got pups too.
Yes. Okay, your military brain must, I mean, what do you think of these? Where would these be useful in combat?
Yeah, so this is actually pretty exciting when you look at it. You know, so robotics has been big. I mean, so this can go in with the camera, obviously, with sensors, right, to determine chemical, nuclear, biological as well. It goes upstairs, can go downstairs, and there's even more advanced than this. And so think for a minute if you don't want to put a human in harm's way, and you want to go to determine if there's a improvised house explosive or explosive device, or you want to do a reconnaissance inside of an area in which you don't want to put troops in, there's the utility of something like this. To enable us to get eyes forward to see in all types of terrain. They don't feel pain, we do.
Yeah.
There's your Chinook.
Okay.
Incredible. General, I'm curious for you. I mean, we're seeing so much today, but something tells me, a little birdie tells me that this is just a taste of what is available in terms of the arsenal of the U.S. Army, that we're just seeing a little bit, but there's a lot more.
Oh, there is. Some of these are common denominators, right? All these divisions that you're seeing today, these lethal divisions, historic stored divisions, I mean, incredible. Whether it's an airborne division, which we have, there are assault divisions, armored division, cab divisions, light infantry divisions. They've got these systems, right, available to them. And yes, there's more out there, but you're seeing the major components on the battlefield today that we employ into their advanced stage. And again, they're constantly being upgraded.
If we're talking about the Chinook, that's what I'm looking about. Okay, so this is the Army's heavy lift aircraft. You know, when you're talking about missions and the Chinook, what should we know about that?
CH-47 is a heavy lift. You can parachute out of it. You can put vehicles in it. Not only just conventional forces, but we haven't talked a lot about special operations forces. So you have Task Force 160, which is a special operations air wing that uses a very advanced CH-47s. Typically you'll see the probe that sticks out the front. Those are aerial refuel. So again, there's a lot more that you're not seeing here, but you're seeing kind of the conventional aspect of our arsenal.
Matt Gregory is on the ground close to the reviewing stand. And Matt, you're seeing a lot of what we're seeing. How is the crowd responding given what they're seeing not only along the parade route, but also in the air as well?
Listen, Larry, you know I'm always going to tell it to you straight. I think a lot of people were confused by what they were seeing because that was the future of the Army. And what they had going on was drone warfare is what it looks like. I mean, we saw a tank that looked remote controlled, if I'm being honest. We saw, a bunch of aerial drones going through just before, and then those dogs, the robotic dogs. Yes, they're cute to see, but I think most of the crowd was a bit perplexed, right? You see the Abrams tanks, you see the Sherman tanks, you see the history, you see the strength of the U.S. military, you see the future. The reaction was a bit muted by the crowd here, but right now it looks like it's actually gotten quite quiet as a marching band is coming through, and I'm trying to figure out, if we've seen the modern military and the future of the military, I think we're getting closer and closer to the address from the president. And, there's been multiple different arrangements of Army color guard coming through. At this point, and you could have asked the general what we're looking at right now. I'm seeing it just over my shoulder, but I can't quite make out the PA announcer say, who is this? Here comes the president. He's about to, the president, you can see him on the pool feed. He is right near this. These are, VMI, that's what it is. I'm so sorry.
And
Those are the dress
Point.
uniforms, I think, of the military academies. I think I'm seeing VMI. And West Point, okay, very good. So, General, what does it look like in terms of, I wanted to ask you about the military academies. Have we seen growth in their ranks? Are we seeing it playing the role it's historically played? Like, what are you hearing?
Yeah, so what you were seeing, Matt, first was the U.S. Military Academy marching. You got VMI. You've got some Citadel in there as well. There's other military academies that are out there, North Georgia, Norwich University. So we're seeing steady growth as far as ROTC programs, which are the primary kind of feeders of officers into the officer corps. And then, of course, West Point. And West Point's doing pretty good in beating Navy in football. But Matt, really, the answer is yes. They're continuing to feed high quality leaders, young leaders into our service to grow them. And again, there's a high turnover rate, but folks can vote too and get out. So a key aspect of that is the ROTC program. Don't discount though, because you also have Officer Candidate School, which allows those that are enlisted or non-commissioned officers to transition into the officer corps as well.
Yeah, and as they're coming by right now, I'm going to step out of the way. You can see, there we are right there, the marching band coming through. The uniforms are pristine. I mean, the blue is just spot on right here, and it's things that many folks will never see. They won't see the West Point marching band coming through. They won't see, the cadets on their way through. It's something that, many people here, I think, are finally kind of getting the idea that this is a once in a long time thing to see everyone here at once. When else would you see West Point, VMI, and the Citadel all sort of marching together? I don't think often, and I don't think that there's the camaraderie between those four when it comes to athletics at all. Anyway, the one thing I would ask you, General, that I was very curious about, because we've been sort of talking about this, there is a current ongoing land war in Europe, and I was wondering if there's anything that we're seeing, because we're seeing the tanks come through, we've seen that tanks are being used in Ukraine. Is there anything we're learning from that conflict in the U.S. military that could shape how we do things in the future? Because it is, still ongoing.
No, Matt, good point. We're always learning. There's whole divisions of the Army, not infantry divisions, but outfits that focus on the adversary, what we're learning from that. We call it CALL, Center for Army Lessons Learned. And so it's only a lesson learned if you inculcate it in the culture of the organization and you make change. Change that gives you the positional advantage. And so we are learning a lot of those lessons. We employ those in our combat training centers and at home station training the best that we can. We have what we call Red 4, which is the opposing forces, which test us that way. And we do that again at all the training centers itself. But listen, all these cadets that you're seeing marching here, they had to raise their right hand for an oath as well. They chose to be in that uniform. They chose to go to that academy. They chose to work hard to do what they're doing, to seek a commission in the United States Army. And so to me, this is one of the most humbling aspects of the parade today, is to see our youth still committed, still wanting to raise their right hand and be patriotic and give more than they expect to get back. So it's heartening to see, Matt.
Yeah, we're going to see the recommissioning, if I'm not mistaken, or we already seen that. That should be coming up in a bit. We're also going to hear from the president. There's still a lot, even though the parade seems to be coming to its end here, in terms of active military units coming through, active military equipment coming through. But there's still a little bit more, guys, that's in store. The president speaking, and it's something I don't think. It was hard to kind of envision what this would look like, crowd size, how it would look with tanks rolling down Constitution Avenue. But, we're getting an idea that this is something we may never see again. And it's quite fascinating to see. I mean, it hasn't been since 1991, since the end of Desert Storm. So, I'm here. The whole crowd's gotten silent. I think we're about to hear something, so I'm going to send it back to you guys to kind of observe as we get an idea of what's happening next in the ceremony.
Matt, thank you. What he was talking about is we're about to see the oath of enlistment to some 250 soldiers. The president is going to speak. We're going to hang with this for just a moment to see what exactly we're listening to, because if there is a speech coming down, we don't want to miss that. But you're getting a feel for the soldiers marching by. You're hearing them march and talk? Is that what am I hearing?
Yeah, you're hearing what's called Jody. They're keeping them in cadence, left, right, left, and then you'll sing songs, what we call Jodies. One, esprit, two, to keep everybody in alignment and in step.
Okay, I think we should hang with this.
Yeah, let's listen in.
The pride to serve my country knows that I'm doing it not for myself. Every day I put on the uniform, I'm not just representing Caroline Robinson.
All right, we're going to continue our coverage and go back to the reviewing stand momentarily when we believe that the president is close to the lectern. Let's bring in Alexis Wainwright now. Alexis, we understand that the parade has about wrapped up where you are, and people that have been there watching the festivities are likely getting ready for the other portions of the festivities that will be taking place later tonight.
Yeah, Larry, that's exactly right. You can see behind me that there's nothing going on right here at the intersection of 18th and Constitution. But Further down behind me, you can see a long line and a crowd of people, many of them who were just here moments ago, now loading that way to exit out of this area. But we do know a concert will be happening shortly, and a lot of people are also heading further down Constitution to go closer to the stage. Now, I actually want to talk with Hayden Carpenter. I know you've been standing here watching. You came all the way from Ohio. Just tell me, what was your favorite moment from this parade?
My favorite moment would be whenever they shown off their technological advancements with like the robot dogs and the drones. So that's just the future of the military. So having them show it off makes me feel safe.
For sure, and I know this is a moment that we don't often see, a lot of this military machinery coming down Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C. What inspired you to decide to come down here to watch this parade in person today?
Well, it's the 250th anniversary, so got to support troops, and this is like a historical moment in time right now. So,
for sure, and it looks like you're here with your family. Tell me how special it is to share that moment with them here today.
It's very special to spend this moment with him, especially since my brother's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Brian Carpenter, and it's just amazing.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So again, you can just hear the testimonies from so many people. I know we're waiting for the president to speak, and it sounds like a lot more happening back at that stage. So we'll send it back to you guys for now.
Thank you so much. We are now waiting for the president to give the oath, which no doubt will be an exciting opportunity for those young men and women that are just below him.
Yeah, this is quite a moment for the Army. Again, we're going to watch the president here approach the podium here. Let's hang tight real quick, see what they're saying. Okay, so again, the oath of enlistment is what we're going to see here. 250 soldiers, part of the pageantry, part of the patriotism today is showing the growth of the military and what the path to the future is looking like. And that is a cornerstone of this event, and this is what we're about to watch.
General, I'd imagine with that oath, it is a opportunity to do what they can, their part, in supporting the Army's mission and protecting the United States.
No, it certainly is. I mean, it starts with "I solemnly swear," and that's a powerful word, or affirm, whichever they choose. And then to support and defend the Constitution, truth, faith, and allegiance, right? Which is what we want from them. Obey orders, and they do this before their God.
And you can see what a solemn moment this is. The president bowing his head repeatedly, taking this moment before he brings these troops in with this oath. And he is now approaching the podium. We know he's going to give the oath and also share some words. So let's listen in.
Hey! Mr. President, First Sergeant Norton reporting for duty, sir. Ready to commence the ceremony as directed.
I state your name.
I
Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend. The Constitution of the United States of America. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. And that I will obey the orders. Of the President of the United States. And the orders. Of the officers appointed over me. According to regulations. And the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome to the United States Army, and have a great life. Thank you very much. Have a great life. Thank you.
Ranger School is the best life insurance policy for our Army. It will always end with two people facing off with each other.
General, I want to get your perspective on this as someone who's taken that oath. Walk us through that moment. What are these men and women now feeling? What are they being asked to do? What is the charge to them?
Well, I don't know how they felt, but I know how I would have felt. Standing there before this crowd on this day, 250 years after the inception of this nation, I would have been extremely humbled, probably a bit petrified, but hopefully those words mean something. They listen to the words. It might take them a little time to kind of internalize those words, but it's an extremely emotional moment. Yeah, have a good life. Have a good life in the United States military contributing, and then you one day will be a veteran, and then that's when it gets really important. Do you continue to contribute to society in the way you do? And there's a veteran's creed. We've got a enlisted oath. We've got an officer's oath. And so those are all oaths that are words, but you got to put into action. Yesterday at the Nationals, at the Capitals game, baseball, the 82nd Airborne Division, Major General Pat Work was behind home plate. He did a re-enlistment ceremony with about 10 of his soldiers in front of the entire crowd. And I'm standing there taking pictures, and then I know him and sent him photographs of that. What he just did is happening every single day. We're seeing the soldiers enlist who want to serve, they raise their right hand, and then start their journey.
I wanted to speak to the power of that moment because they're standing on Constitution Avenue in our nation's capital before the President of the United States. And when you took your own oath of enlistment, I mean, what do you remember from it back in that day?
Yeah, I took my oath at Norwich University on the campus of Norwich. In 1984, and I knew what I was getting into, right? They don't yet. They've not been to basic training, but they have a general idea, and that's the job of the recruiting command to do that, and their recruiter to get their minds right, make sure they go physically fit. They'll go through the MEP station, which is a medical evaluation station. They'll get a basic training date. Then it's going to come clear to them. When I look back 34 years ago, when I walked in two different parades very similar to this, not until years after did it really sink in what I just experienced. And in many ways, once they get the basic training through that training, and then they become no kidding soldiers, right? Card-carrying soldiers, then I think it's going to impact them. Looking back at this does not happen in many folks' lifetimes.
And the relationships that they develop as they go through the basic training, I imagine, are relationships that they will keep for the rest of their lives.
Yes, and you'll never forget your drill sergeant.
Ever.
For good or bad reasons.
Okay, so we are taking a look out at the parade here. What's up next is there will be a concert in some form, we understand, but we are waiting for President Donald Trump to make some remarks. He'll give a speech.
As we heard from Matt Greger, he's been hinting at a country group or artists that will be performing. We've yet to get the name. He's been teasing this for about 45 minutes now. I'm a little tired of it. I'm ready to hear the name now, and I want to hear the group.
Okay, so we've got this. I did want to ask real quickly, why did the president choose the Army instead of any other branch? I mean, you're our biased, here, but why do you think they?
Well. I mean, today, the June 14th, is monumental in our history. It's the Army. The Land Force Army helped give birth to this nation, preceded the birth of the nation by 1 year. That's probably why he chose it. Perhaps his birthday has something to do with it too, but certainly for us, what we're focused on are those soldiers, the story they tell, their timeless, endless, diverse story, and how it's going to impact our future.
Well, with that, let's take a listen to the concert that's already in progress.
She's my pretty little poison, my heartache in the night with a kiss on her lips just like cyanide. Yeah, she came with a warning, but I didn't mind. I'll go down on it every time. She's my pretty little poison. Whispers that she wants me. Try my best not to fall where she falls into me. We all need some kind of fix. For me, she's the one to pick. Nothing else will do the trick. She's all I need. She's my pretty Some I guess it's alcohol. I don't want none at all. I just want you. No, I just want you. My pretty little poison. My heartache in the night with a kiss on her lips just like cyanide. Yeah, she came with a warning, but I
Thank you. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I'm nervous, but I would just like to say thank you so much for having me here tonight. I am just so fortunate to be here in front of y'all, and thank you guys so much for what you guys do. And honestly, happy birthday, y'all. Happy birthday.
This next song was loved by y'all. So if you know the words, please sing along. This song's called Ride the Lightning, y'all. She did. One foot in the flames and the other trying to walk the line. Can't say I never saw it coming. I could see the warning signs. Mama always said I was born on the wild side. I guess Mama was right. 'Cause when the clock strikes midnight, gonna ride the lightning, feel the thunder till the darkness pulls me under. Gonna fly on wings of fire, breathing good, Lord lifts me high. Singing, oh, when they call me on. Singing, oh, when they call me on. Gonna ride the lightning. I see you singing, my friend. There's a man in a black coat standing at a crossroads, with a pen in his hand and a long list of lost souls. They say he flips a coin, fools at a fool's gold. There's a man in a black coat standing at a crossroads. I hope he lets me pass by when I close my eyes. Gonna ride the lightning, feel the thunder till the darkness pulls me under. Gonna fly on wings of fire, breathing good, Lord lifts me high. Singing, oh, when they call me on. Singing, oh, when they call me on. got one more chorus, y'all. Gonna ride the lightning, feel the thunder, till the darkness pulls me off it. Gonna fly on wings of fire, brave and good Lord lifts me high. Singing, oh, when they call me home. Singing, oh, when they call me home. Gonna ride the lightning. Gonna ride the lightning. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody here, everybody that's attended tonight, I just want to say thank you so much. And I'll leave y'all with this. I'm more insiders, y'all. Thanks for having me. It has been my honor, ladies and gentlemen. I really mean that. Thank you so much. Happy birthday to the Army. Happy birthday to our President, Donald Trump. Amen, y'all. God bless America, baby!
This week we honor 250 years of valor and glory and triumph by the greatest fighting force ever to walk the face of the earth, the United States Army.
Okay, so we just heard a concert. As you were listening in, everyone was rocking out. We had Warren Ziders singing a number of
Oh yeah,
songs
definitely
out
some
there.
hits. I mean, I couldn't help but do a little bop here back at the studio. You know, and what you love about it, I mean, clearly he's excited to be there. Our men and women in uniform also excited to hear him as well, and definitely sort of taking in the moment, right? Showing his appreciation to the U.S. Army, but also expressing his gratitude as well for what they will be doing for us and our freedoms.
He had this moment. He said, "God bless America."
Yes.
The whole crowd went wild. By the way, he's from Pennsylvania, went to school in Maryland, so he's, I would say, the epitome of hometown to some degree.
Absolutely. We'll claim him.
Yeah, and so for him to have this stage, that was great. It was great to see. And we see right now the soldiers who were just given the oath of enlistment making their way out. We know the president is going to speak here shortly, so we're keeping a close eye on the podium for you.
Yeah, for those that just took the oath of enlistment, General, I want to get your take. What does the next sort of year look like for them?
Yeah, so they do the oath, and then they'll get their basic training report date. So they'll report the basic training. They'll get highly stylish haircuts when they get there.
Is that what we're calling that?
Oh, yeah. They'll turn in all those kind of trappings of civilian life, and then they'll become a soldier.
And there's a reason behind that.
That is a reason behind it. I mean, it's not to tear a man or a woman down and rebuild them. It's to make them take the product that you've got and make it better. Those strengths, those skills that they have, those passions, make them better, but hone the edges so they learn about the military and kind of how to fit as a soldier in a team of teams.
You know, as the parade begins to wind down, our Alexis Wainwright is on the parade route. She was talking to people out there. She was saying it's beginning to wind down in her area. We know J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, has approached the podium. Let's see if we can listen in on him.
Well, let me say to the thousands of Americans who traveled from distant towns and across state lines to be here today, this is your national capital. Welcome to Washington, D.C. We are thrilled to have you. This evening, as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, the oldest branch of the greatest fighting force ever known to man, I want to say to all the soldiers all across our nation's capital and all across the world, happy birthday, soldiers. We're proud of you. And I want to say you represent an unbroken line of greatness, of excellence. And one of the things the President of the United States has told his entire administration from the Vice President on down is that we must remember that the young men and women who put on the uniform and serve this nation are our most precious resource. We must honor them, we must respect them, we must fight for them, and that's exactly what the Trump administration aims to do every single day. And so to our soldiers, we're so proud of you, and let me tell you that the way that we honor and respect you is, number one, we never ask you to go to war unless you absolutely have to, and number two, when we do ask you to go to war, we give you the weapons and the support needed to kick the hell out of the enemy and come back home safely. Now, I know I am the last thing standing between and that is a dangerous place to be with a lot of soldiers in the audience. So let me just say a couple of quick additional thoughts. First of all, June the 14th is, of course, the birthday of the Army. It is, of course, the birthday of the President of the United States, and happy birthday, Mr. President. But I would get in trouble if I didn't mention that it's also my wedding anniversary. And so to my lovely wife, I love you, honey, happy anniversary, and thank you for everything that you do for our country. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce the 45th and 47th Commander-in-Chief of the United States military, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you to Vice President Vance, and thank you to our wonderful First Lady, and above all, thank you to the greatest, fiercest, and bravest fighting force ever to stride the face of this earth, the United States Army. Thank you very much. Because the Army keeps us free, you make us strong, and tonight, you have made all Americans very proud. They're watching from all over the world, actually. Made them all very proud. Every other country celebrates their victories. It's about time America did too. That's what we're doing tonight. And watching this magnificent display, our souls are filled with gratitude for every generation of warriors who have worn the uniform all the way back to the very beginning. So to every veteran across our land, and right here in our nation's capital, including 6 recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor, we love you, we honor you, and we salute your noble service to our flag and to our country. As we celebrate tonight, we also think of the hundreds of thousands of Army soldiers who have made the supreme sacrifice for our nation and selflessly laid down their lives in every war, from the Revolution to the War on Terror. To the Gold Star families with us today, the courage of your heroes is the bedrock on which our entire nation stands. We thank you. Yes, we thank you. Today we commemorate an event that did not just change American history, but changed the history of the entire world. With the creation of America's Army on June 14th, 1775, liberty got its shield and the freedom got its sword. Those first Army patriots in the American Revolution fought against a fearsome enemy and impossible odds, but they were armed with a righteous cause. They were led by an indomitable commander, a truly great man, General George Washington, and they were united by an eternal creed. Their motto was victory or death, Over the past 2.5 centuries, our warriors have shown unrivaled valor on fields of battle around the globe. With the frostbitten feet and bloody fist, they have marched into the flames and fury of combat, charged up mountains, stormed beaches, waded through torrents of gunfire, and leapt into skies thick with smoke and shrapnel. The U.S. Army has driven bayonets into the heart of sinister empires, crushed the ambitions of evil tyrants. Beneath the threads of American tanks, it's done so well, it's done so much, and sent the devil himself flying into full retreat. Time and again, America's enemies have learned that if you threaten the American people, our soldiers are coming for you. Your defeat will be certain, your demise will be final, and your downfall will be total and complete. Because our soldiers never give up, never surrender, and never, ever quit. They fight, 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 and they win, win, win. And that's why no institution in history has entered more names into the roster of American heroes than the U.S. Army, the Congressional Medal of Honor, more than anyone or anything. There was Mad Anthony Wayne, asked by George Washington to lead a daring midnight raid up the cliffs of Stony Point with unloaded muskets and only their bayonets to fight the redcoats. Mad Anthony replied, "Issue the order, sir, and I will storm into hell for you." Then there was the Civil War general, John Corse, shot in the face in combat. He fired off a message to his commander: "I am short a cheekbone and one ear, but I am able to whip the hell out of all of them." He stayed on the front lines, it seemed forever. In World War II, there was the great Creighton Abrams, besieged on all sides by the Nazis at the Battle of the Bulge. He boldly proclaimed, "They've got us surrounded again, the poor bastards." This is the fighting spirit and unyielding force of the U.S. Army. It has never changed, and it will never, ever change, because there is no earthly force more powerful than the brave heart of a U.S. infantryman or an Army Ranger, paratrooper, or Green Beret. They are the best, they are the finest. From Bunker Hill to San Juan Hill, from Gettysburg to Guadalcanal, from Yorktown to Shiloh, and from the trenches of the Argonne to the mountains of Afghanistan, the Army has forged a legacy of unmatched courage, untold sacrifice, and unequaled and undying glory. Our soldiers have poured out their blood by the bucketful on Missionary Ridge and Heartbreak Ridge, on the sands of Sicily, Normandy, and the Philippines, and on the dusty streets of Da Nang, Baghdad, and Fallujah. Thanks to their extraordinary service and devotion, 250 years later, America stands tall, America stands proud, and America stands free. We're the hottest country in the world right now, and our country will soon be greater and stronger than ever before. Down through history, we've been blessed beyond words by this valiant legion of Army warriors and patriots, heroes and legends. And tonight we affirm with unwavering certainty that in the years ahead and in every generation hence, whenever duty calls and whatever danger comes, the American soldier will be there. No matter the risk, no matter the obstacles, our warriors will charge into battle. They will plunge into the crucible of fire, and they will seize the crown of victory, because the United States of America will always have the grace of Almighty God and the iron will of the United States Army. Congratulations to everybody. We love our country. We've never done better. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the Army, and God bless America. And now I'd like to ask our great First Lady to join me at the podium. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, on behalf of the United States Army, the Army Golden Knights, I would like to present to you this flag, which was flown over our nation's capital in free fall during the Army's 250th birthday celebration.
Okay, so you were just watching President Donald Trump address the country during his birthday parade, the Army's 250th birthday parade as well. He was just presented a flag from a soldier who parachuted onto the ellipse.
Yeah, and it looks like that celebration continues now. The President and the First Lady are still at the lectern, and it looks like we are about to have a performance that's also taking place as well.
You know, we are rolling with some of the coverage that we're seeing. Some of the images are coming in and out, but I wanted to ask you, specifically, we heard the President say, he was praising our soldiers, praising our troops, but he said the American soldier will be there, no matter the risk, no matter the obstacle. Bring me into some of the feeling when you heard him talking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong speech, good speech writer, but I tie it back into what Vice President Vance said.